Last but not least, Georgia Tech offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, Dave Patenaude. And we'll go ahead and open it right up for questions for Coach Patenaude. If you could, use the raise hand function within Zoom. If you have a question, we'll call on people individually. And we'll start with Rod McKenzie from 247 Sports.
Good morning. Sorry about that.
Hey, there he is. There he is.
Coach talked about, finishing opening drives against UCF, and that seemed to be the case also against Florida State. Is there anything you can put your finger on, and what do you talk to Jeff about concerning those issues?
Well, we turned the ball over. The first drive we got it all the way down in there, and we punched it in. First drive it was like 4 or 5 plays, knocked it in. We were off to a great start. We go 9 plays, get it all the way down in there. We call an option play. Jeff tucks it up, doesn't secure the ball. Ball comes out, and the next drive we go 13 plays. We get it all the way in there again, and we miss 2 wide open throws. So. You got to execute when you're in a red zone. We can't come out with 3. We got to make sure that we are able to punch the ball in. It's a simple matter of of execution when we get down in there. Thought the plays were good. I thought the scheme was good. I liked the plan that we had. We just missed a couple throws, and we have to secure the ball. And that was kind of the case the whole day.
Next question comes from Ken Segura from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution.
Hey, if I could follow up on that a little bit. I mean, you mentioned the play calling and execution and so forth. Do you get any sense that compressed field or whatever that Jeff is having a tougher time reading things down there or anything like that? Or is it kind of, how do you kind of assess that part of it?
No, I mean, the one throw that we had, I mean, he stuck one on Jalen Camp and he dropped the ball. The one he basically just overthrew it. He saw a blitz coming, and he threw the corner ball to Amari Brown. The thing almost, went out of the stadium. It was so far overthrown. I think he was just a little over anxious when he saw it. He had a good read. We had the one-on-one matchup that we wanted. We had Amarian on there, number 3 defender in the box. We ran a corner ball, and Jeff, ball came out of his hand. They came with a double-edged pressure. We protected it very well. Saw it coming the whole way. He just, got a little over anxious and sailed it.
Next question comes from Kelly Quinlan from Rivals.
Hey, Dave. I was curious about, you obviously kind of have a change of situation with the 2 Dylans out, and Billy, who, is a true freshman, and Jack, who'd only been with you since the spring. And it seemed like that package, especially with 11 personnel, was kind of a safety blanket for Jeff. Do you feel like that kind of impacted him a little bit, not having maybe the personnel he was comfortable with and being able to make those safe throws to get that rhythm like you did at Florida State?
I don't know so much about that. I think it changes what plays you call. I think it changes your personnel groupings. It changes some of the things that you can do from a tempo standpoint. We were in more 20. We were in more 10. With a bigger 10 personnel package with Jalen in the slot, kind of trying to use him a little bit more as a bigger bodied guy. I think that, at the end of the day, you can't turn the ball over 5 times, regardless of comfort or setting your feet and throwing and reading things or whatever, right? At the end of the day, you have to secure the ball, and we had 450-something yards of offense with 5 turnovers. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? So if you do that over the course of the game and you don't turn the ball over, we're looking at, north of 500 yards of offense. And, some of the throws that we missed were big play throws. Actually one of the balls that got knocked down was kind of a freaky play. The ball got knocked down, right? The defensive lineman looks up, he catches the ball. It's a tipped pick. He went to the right spot. The guy was wide open. He made a good read. The kid just got blocked, put his hands up, and tipped the ball. Otherwise, we have a shot at a 35-yard bender right down the middle of the field. So, the football gods are strange at times, and, sometimes the balls get tipped or whatever. Those guys are playing good defense also. But the thing that is really aggravating, and that was a huge point of emphasis on Sunday morning, was ball security and, being able to catch the ball in traffic consistently. And when we do those 2 things, we're going to be really good.
Okay, next question from Ken Segura from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution.
If I can ask something about Jack Coco, obviously just him losing all the weight and wanting to switch positions is kind of crazy on his own, but he had a couple of really nice blocks and seemed to handle himself. I'm curious, because that part of it of actually not just making the change and changing his body, but actually becoming a pretty effective blocker and being a part of the offense and caught a pass for you. What can you say just about him in that regard of becoming a reliable part of the team for you?
Yeah, I mean, he spent the whole season last year as an offensive lineman, right? So his ability to block and be physical and be tough was not a concern at all. He is that. He's very strong. He's very explosive. He's somewhere between a fullback and a tight end body, but he's really strapped up. So that part of it I was very, very confident in. I think, him one-on-one with a safety or a linebacker, defensive end, crunching back on runs and things like that, I was very, very confident with. I mean, the biggest concern, right, is he was a 280-pound offensive lineman last year, and now he's 245, and he's out there in a flat catching balls. But I'll tell you what, the one ball that we threw to him, he framed perfectly. Chris Wiesehand's done a tremendous job with him just in regard to his receiving skills. He framed it perfectly. He turned up the field. It was a little awkward when he got hit. You know what I mean? He kind of stumbled and bumbled and rumbled a little bit, but that was cool. I'm really proud of that guy, man. I mean, he knew his chance to play was to be in that role, to be in tremendous shape, to be physical. And we've talked about it a little bit in the past, guys. I mean, he literally ate grilled chicken and salad for like 3 months. That's all he ate. Vegetables and lean proteins for months. And he worked out like 3 hours a day just to be able to do what he did. I'm so proud of him in that, in that time. And, I held my breath a little bit. We threw it out there to him. I was like, oh, baby, here we go. I knew it was coming because I saw the look. And Jeff turned and he spun it to him. And Jeff didn't even think about it. He just saw the guy open, spun it out to him. It was a perfect throw. Jack was a great catch. We got a first down. It was awesome.
Next question is from George Henry from the Associated Press.
Hey, Dave, I was curious after watching Jamir Gibbs in preseason and you raving about him so much, what was it like in a game atmosphere to watch him excel like that?
I don't know. You tell me what it was like, right? I mean, that opening kickoff, I was like, oh, my goodness. I mean, he had to track the ball all the way back to the other side hash, and he broke that thing off, and he was gone. You know what I mean? He's really explosive. That's the first game the guy's ever played in college. I mean, he's catching the balls out of the backfield. We're swinging it to him. He beat a kid on a touchdown on a great read. The touchdown that we scored was an option route by the running back. He saw the kid drop. He broke the ball back inside. Jeff made a nice read and throw. And then, then he runs a counter for a touchdown, So he's really athletic. He's really explosive. He gives us a lot of, flexibility with where you can play him. He's kind of like that Alvin Kamara type guy. You can get it to him out of the backfield. You can motion him in. You can motion him out. He can play in the slot. And really, he's just got to get more experience being able to do that, But he's really a good football player. He could do, like, if you tell him to do something, he understands it. Like, he gets it. He's physically gifted, but he just understands football. We said, hey, if you do this and they do this, you do this. And he's like, okay. And that's what he does. So, he gives us a lot of flexibility. We're really excited about, being able to build some packages around him.
Okay, we have time for a couple more for Coach Patenaude. First one comes in by text, somebody who couldn't join us on the call today. And this person just asked if you could talk a little bit about Jordan Williams and his play over the first 2 games.
Yeah, well, I mean, the biggest thing is nobody's calling his name, right? Those guys really get called out when they do something wrong. They jump off sides, they're holding, whatever, right? So we had Joe Tessitore the last couple of weeks, and he didn't call his name one time. You know what I mean? So that means he's doing his job, and he's doing it at a really high level. And they gave him a lot. The thing about that front is they move every play. And so it's not just a static 5 technique that's rushing off the edge against you. He's coming inside, he's going outside. Everything is a slant and a movement, and he handled them really well. And with Ryan Johnson next to him, those 2 guys, when they stretch their arms, side by side, those are 2 really long guys. They're both 6'6", 6'7" guys that create a lot of space. So it's, it's a long way around them. And, just even a couple things today, guys, in practice. I mean, we ran a screen today in practice. He made a read on a screen. The guy dropped out of there. He locked onto the guy and ran the kid off the field. He's just getting better every day. I mean, he's very physically gifted. He, all things being considered, will have a great opportunity to continue to do this when he's done with school. He's very smart football-wise, and he's around a group of older guys that set a standard. He's amongst an elite offensive line coach who is bringing him along and doing a tremendous job with him. And the culture in that room is tremendous. So there is no slacking. There is no ability not to be there studying. There is no ability, not to be around. Like, he's fully involved, fully invested, and the older guys have taken him under their wing, and they've done a really nice job with him. I mean, I'm not trading him for anybody.
And our final question of the day comes from Sam Oppenheim from WAER Radio up in Syracuse.
Hi, Coach. Just in general, second year with your pro-style offense, has this year you've been able to more implement certain things or make adjustments with the offense that you really couldn't emphasize as much in your first year?
Sure. I mean, last year was really a ground zero reboot of an option offense to a pro-style offense. We had to introduce guys to pro-style schemes. We had to teach them how to run routes. We had to teach the quarterbacks how to read things. The offensive line, how to, zone block and how to pass pro. And it was a big deal. It was a big undertaking. And, we ground through that and did a really good job. We had a great off season. We had a little bit of spring practice, but a great off season, through all of these crazy Zoom calls of really getting to understand football, really getting to understand what we do, but more specifically, what defenses are trying to do against us. So that gave us a lot more knowledge on how people were trying to attack us. It gave the guys a lot more confidence on what they were doing. And now you're just building upon those blocks that we laid last year. We've had a couple of productive games, not nearly where we need to be from a point standpoint. I mean, we should be averaging, over 30 points a game right now, but we're not. And, the reasons, have been talked about, but it's much easier to call a game. It's much easier to pass protect. It's much easier to be multiple. I thought we were, even last week we were really multiple. We just missed on some throws. We could put tight ends on the field. We could put two backs on the field. We could go four wides. We can be in empty. We could be in 12 personnel. We could be, big on the goal line. We could be spread out on the goal line. So, just the guys' general understanding of what we do is really high. So, I could come in on a Sunday and we could scheme some stuff up and install it, a few wrinkles here, a few wrinkles there. You're always going to run your base offense. 85% of what we do is going to be week to week. We're just going to tweak the looks and how we get to things. And then you put in a few special things, and then you just keep building it week to week, and you have a much bigger menu for the year than certainly we did this time last year.
Okay, very good. Thanks to you, Coach Patenaude, and thanks to everybody who was able to join us today. We'll see everybody tomorrow with our student athletes.